1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody.
Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, February the 3rd. I forgot what Monday is. And I'm Bruce Leonard, and of course this is Bruce Leonard Leaves Left while it's still legal. Thank you for tuning in. I apologize, I'm a second late. It was acting weird, the internet again. I don't know what's going on. Well, there's a snowstorm going on right now, so could be that. Could be lots of things. But I'm a few minutes late, I apologize for that. I was sitting here and says kept telling me I wasn't connected to the internet, but then I could go on Facebook and shit, so obviously I was. So, what the fuck's going on? I don't know. Trump fucking with me. Before I came on here, I was watching those hearings where the people who have been abused by ICE, that woman that was shot 5 times, the autistic girl that was drug out of her car on her way to the doctor. They were all telling their stories. The family of Renee Good. We're talking about Renee Good. I told you it wouldn't take long. my beard grows fast. It's not a beard yet, but it's getting there. They were telling their stories. Not one single Republican attended the hearing. Not one. Which tells you everything you need to know about the modern Republican Party. They don't give 2 fucks about anything except doing whatever Donald Trump tells them to do. And the only way out of this, is to vote all these nut-licking motherfuckers out of office. As many as you can. What's up, Gustavo? You gotta get rid of these fucking people. Not one Republican showed up to hear the stories of these people. This woman was shot 5 times. She's lucky she's not alive, and she read off all the names of the people who have been killed. Do you realize this? ICE has murdered more people than immigrants that they're going after in the past month or 2. Because there hasn't been an immigrant murder, because if there was, they'd be all over the goddamn fucking news, and you can bet that. You know, they still have to bring out Lake and Riley, because that's the only one they have. No, I'm sure there's more, but the one they jumped on and decided to use it as a cudgel. You know, if immigrants were murdering people all over the fucking place, there'd be a story on Fox News and all these right-wing networks every fucking day. It's hard to murder people when you're hiding in your house. I'm just trying to stay away from the fucking ice. Trying to get kidnapped and shipped off to God knows where. Do you realize these people, there are people every single day, right, who are citizens, who are kidnapped off the streets by ICE in Minnesota, sent to Texas, where there they have to prove that they're citizens, and when they do, they just release them. In Texas. It's up to you to get your way back home. Nobody's really talking about that either. Those kind of stories are going on every single fucking day. And the fact that not one single Republican would even show up to this hearing to hear these stories tells you everything you need to know about these people. They are soulless meat bags of shit who don't give 2 fucks about anything except imposing their will upon you. And you, the only way out of this is to vote all these motherfuckers out of office and to give the Congress back the power. Do you realize there's not even been any oversight? Today was an attempt at an oversight hearing, right, I guess, where they have victims' testimony of people who have been, and they didn't even come. You know why? Because they know they ain't got nothing to say. But half of them are probably ashamed of what's going on, but they're too fucking spineless pussies to fucking stand up to Donald Trump. And why, I don't know, because Republicans have lost every single election that's happened, except for the one in Tennessee, which is way closer than it should have been. But all the rest, Democrats have won. A Democrat flipped a state Senate seat in Texas, where Trump won by 17 points. This guy won by like 18 points. It's like a 35-point swing. The Republican Party, that's why Trump is starting to talk about nationalizing elections and shit like that, because he knows they're going to lose big time. When the Congress gets power, they can gum up the fucking works. I mean, you might not be able to stop him completely, but you can definitely gum up the works and cause trouble for him, and he doesn't want that. So he's trying to cook up this bullshit 2020 election. Here's my question to you, which I posed the other day, but it's still a valid question. And not one that I've heard people answer. If you think that Fulton County, Georgia is crooked and is running crooked elections, right? Wouldn't you look into all the elections that they've ran? Not just the 2020 election that featured Donald Trump. No, it's a bullshit story. There was 7 recounts. You know how elections work, right? If there's, while they're counting ballots, there's representatives from Republican Party and Democrat Party there. And if there's any kind of, what's up, Julia? If there's any kind of disparity or questions, they're free to object right there on the spot. Right? Nobody did. There was 7 recounts and numerous court cases. No fraud was ever found. Even Bill Barr, Trump's Attorney General, said there was no fraud. Not to mention that Tulsi Gabbard was there. Why is Tulsi Gabbard there? Why is the Director of National Intelligence at a raid of a county elections office in Georgia? Why is she talking on the phone to Trump? And why is Trump talking on the phone to FBI agents who are about to raid a place? All this stuff. Trump is like Richard Nixon on steroids. I mean, he makes Nixon look like a choir boy. At least Nixon was smart enough to try to hide the things he was doing. Trump just does all this shit right out in the open. You know why? Because these people are so terrified of him and his mob of thugs that they won't stand up to him. They're afraid of him. They're afraid of being physically attacked by one of his nutcase followers. Lisa Murkowski said as much. They always say that this guy was going to do something. He was going to vote against Trump until the night before Trump calls him. And, oh yeah, I talked to Donald Trump and now I'm voting yes. What do you think he does? What do you think he says? But it's pretty fucking persuasive. Whatever it is. Yes, Johnny loves the poorly educated. I would like to play for you, if you're not sufficiently embarrassed by all of this yet, I'd like to play something for you. This is Trump today, when Caitlin Collins asks him about the Epstein files. Hold on, I gotta let it play out so we can start it from the beginning.
On this organization, and
here we go. So this is today in the Oval Office when Caitlin Collins asked Donald Trump about the Epstein files.
now what do you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, what? Yeah.
Oh, thank you for answering the question. Why is she supposed to be smiling when she's asking about the victims who have been raped and sexually abused by you and your fucking buddies? It's like, she should be smiling. Does he ever fucking smile? He's a barrel of fucking laughs, isn't he? You ever seen Donald Trump smiling? Except for when he was drooling over the women in that Epstein video. This is the President of the United States. The fact that we've let ourselves get to this point, like I said, if I could, I'd, you know, people say, oh, you're an American? Well, I mean, yeah, I was born here. Am I proud of this country? No. Not at all. Not at all. This is a... The problem is, yes, he's like a toddler, Laura. He's got the mentality of a toddler. I've known toddlers that were more mature than this fucking guy. And then he starts saying, we need to just move on from this and move on to something that people care about. Motherfucking people care about this. This was one of your fucking major issues. You were going to release all these files. We're going to get these pedophiles. And now it turns out all these pedophiles are your fucking friends. How's that work out? The very fact that we live in a world where all these guys' names are in there, they're all friends with this guy. Not just Republicans, Bill Gates and people like that. Bill Clinton. All these fucking guys. They're fucking scumbags, bro. It's not even, it's past politics at this point. And if you're letting your politics cloud your mind about this, you're fucking gone. You've lost your soul and your humanity, and I feel sorry for you. That's why I can no longer take these people seriously. Any of them. If you tell me you support Donald Trump, to me, you're a groveling, spineless, pathetic fucking nutlicker. And that's how I see you. And I can't pretend anymore to be like, oh, these are just people that you know. Or, no, you're a fucking asshole. But this is what you support. You're a fucking jerk off. And if you don't want to get to the bottom of this, and you don't believe that these 1,000 women have been abused, then you're, like I said, you're just a soulless fucking jerk off. You don't deserve respect or anything like that. It's like that guy, have you noticed that ZZZZ or whatever from England, he never came back after I destroyed his story about how only immigrants commit sex crimes in England. You know, I don't know if you were watching that day, but that guy tried to say that, oh, immigrants commit 80% of the sex crimes in England. They're like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? So I just destroyed, I was like, let's look it up right now. We look it up and we destroyed his story. And he ran away and has never been back. Which is why these people never really engage. Because if you're not some stupid dumbass, you can poke holes in their fucking bullshit story in about 10 seconds. That's why I stopped arguing with these people online and shit. You know, I mean, and then plus you realize that half the time you might be arguing is not even a person who's in the United States, or, you know, there aren't many bots sophisticated enough to laugh. I mean, to laugh. Of course, they'll laugh. Sophisticated enough to, like, argue back and forth with you in real time. But the trolls in Russia or whatever, they can. You know. Julia says, no, when he says move on to something people care about, he means move on to something he cares about. That's it. Yeah, like the remodeling of the Kennedy Center, right? Or tearing down the White House and build a ballroom. Or a triumphal arch that he needs to build. Like, you know, everything except for anything that would fucking help you. You know, I was thinking about this morning. It's like, you know, because we get so caught up in the left and the right thing, you know, and even this show, I call it Bruce Leonard Lee's Left, Why It's Still Legal. They're like, that's just a fucking joke about the encroaching fucking fascism that's coming. But it's like, the truth is, I have a multi-view, you know, I'm not liberal on every single fucking thing. You know, like I'm for the Second Amendment. I have guns. You know, there's some certain there's most a lot of leftists. Some of them be like they want gun control and all this other shit. No, I think it's too easy to get guns, and I've said that a long time. But I do believe that people have the right to have them, and I'm glad I have them right now because we're on a thread right now. Do you realize this? Right before I came on, I saw this headline. Fear over new AI tools hammered software and data stocks today, wiping out $300 billion in market value in one day. Remember when I told you all this is a fucking house of cards. It's all the money is invested in this AI shit that ain't making money. But sooner or later they're gonna pull it all out and then that whole thing's gonna fall. That's why they're rushing this to rush out as much shit as they can. See, this is the problem. This is life. World-changing technology, most powerful shit that we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And it's being rushed and thrown out onto the market because there's so much invested in it and they need to make a return. Well, it's like if you had stocks in nuclear bombs, you know, and people are like, we need to make as many nuclear bombs as possible, put them out there. It's like, that's what this is. Don't you understand that? And there's no regulation whatsoever of this industry. This is a dangerous time to be alive. Like I said, so many fucking bad things can happen right now. And I don't think I'm going to make it to die before I see all this stuff happen. So I said I'm secretly gathering up supplies for the coming fucking, like I said, I don't know what's coming, but something's coming. And like I said, I tell everybody that asks me about it, I say, well, I'd rather have all this stuff and not need it than the world to fall to shit and you need stuff that you don't fucking have. Huh. So I'm trying to cover every little base. Make sure I got, you know, water purifiers and fucking stuff to make fire and weapons. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I don't have is a steady supply of food, but I know how to hunt and fish, so I'm pretty sure I can feed myself if I need to. But the dollar is crashing. The value of the dollar to the euro. I would be too, John. John says he's terrified for his kid's future. I would be too. I'm so glad I don't have any. You know, this is not a good time. This is all the things that I thought might happen someday, but I thought that, like, 100 years into the future, not 20. It's like, this is an accelerated timeline. Because the model of America is not sustainable. You know, the way they want, unlimited growth and all that shit. It's not possible. And what you're seeing now is the late stage of that. Meanwhile, we can't stop culture war long enough to fucking really talk about these fucking problems. That's the problem, is everybody's separating off and splintering off into these groups instead of gathering together and saying, hey, if we don't do something, we're all gonna die. You know, the apocalypse don't give a fuck if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You know, the global warming don't give a fuck if you're a Democrat or a Republican, right? These wars don't give it, don't give a fuck who you are. I mean, these countries are trying to fucking Laura says all 3 of her children are in their 20s and saying they're not having kids because of this world. Yeah, I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. And I didn't for that reason. And it wasn't even that bad then, but it was like, this is only going to continue to get worse. And like I said, all the technology and everything is accelerating this process. And half the people are regressing instead of evolving. That's another thing that's bad. You know, it's like, you'd think that there'd be evolution, but no, it's regression. That's like Devo. Like that, Devo seemed like a silly pop punk band they did, but like underneath the surface, if you listen to what they say, it's very deep. You know, the name Devo is from the word devolution, not evolution. That was their theory that we're going backwards and not forwards, and they were right. And they were saying this in the 1980s. You know, a lot of people in the 80s knew what was going on, like Jello Biafra, and like I said, Devo. These voices wouldn't even get heard today. You know that, right? These are real artists who are making real art. That was talking about, you know, the world that we live in and what it could become or what it already was, or, you know. These are commentaries you will never hear now because there is no punk music. There is nothing. Like, all these corporations own every single thing. Everything that you're getting, you know, this is the most underground you can get right here. And that's, to me, that's part of the appeal of this. It's like, yeah, there's only a few people listening, but people are listening. And at least I'm getting, the message out there, whatever the message might be. I mean, the message is, we got to stop this shit. We can't stop culture warring long enough to even do it. Like, people are so pissed off about Bad Bunny playing the Super Bowl that Turning Point, if you see this, Turning Point USA is having their own halftime show. The All-American Halftime Show, they're calling it. Who they gonna get? Kid Rock? Yes! Here's the lineup. Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett. I don't even know who the fuck these people are. Except Kid Rock, we all know who he is. It's unbelievable. Very white show, let me tell you. It's like the All-American show. And don't think that's a coincidence. It's not. It's like... And then Ty Blanche, you know who he is. He used to be Trump's personal attorney. Now he's a deputy attorney general of the United States. Said on TV, he said, it's not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. Really? And his pedophile islands. It's not a crime. Remember, another theme on this show is the truth. Is that everything they say, right? Everything they accuse, it's the old Joseph Goebbels theory of, like, you accuse your enemies of that which you do, because that then deflects the attention off of you and gets them looking at them, right? And this is true. Do you remember the QAnon? Yes. The mega conspiracy that originated on 4chan's board that claimed the country was secretly run by a satanic pedophilic cult that raped and murdered children, and that Donald Trump was the hero destined to expose it all. Right? Turns out that the founder of 4chan was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. His name's in files. No, I'd be laughing, but it's all, like I said, it's what you call, what the intelligence agencies call a psyop. It's a mass brainwash, you know, and they're good at it too. Like Trump today. You know, Trump been saying since they dumped this thing, well, there ain't nothing in there about me, so we just move on, right? There ain't nothing in there about you. I just read it yesterday, the last episode. Someone accused you of killing a bunch of people and burying them on your fucking golf course. That ain't no shit. That's in the file. It said that Donald Trump threatened a woman, said that she'd end up like the other fucking cunts and buried in this golf course. Nothing about him in there, right? Only 3,000 mentions of his fucking name. He's like, nothing about me, Dad. Let's move on to something people care about. Like my health accounts for babies or whatever bullshit he's trying to sell. Somebody said, one of the Congress people said, it's like, well, I think the California authorities should go investigate this golf course. What if they did go there and find some bodies? That would be fucking insane. And then Trump be like, I don't know how they got there. It's all a hoax. It's a witch hunt. I'll give it this. He says the same shit over and over and over and over. He was just today, he was talking about immigrants coming from prisons and mental institutions. And he's been saying that for 10 fucking years. And people it's like they're under some kind of spell. Marge Green finally woke up. Of all the people that you would think would never, would wake up from the fucking mega slumber, she's walking around saying, Megan was all a lie. No shit. You fell for every bit of it. And then we get back to Massey. Massey's still pushing the Epstein thing, just thumbing his eye at Trump, face. And, he can't take it forever, so Trump writes this. I mean, you know that Thomas Massey's wife died, right? A couple years ago. Donald Trump says, people are saying that Thomas Massey became a liberal because his new wife, blessed be their marriage, is supposedly a radical left flamethrower. This new union all went so fast, and maybe he didn't know what he was getting into, but nevertheless, he is an absolutely terrible and unreliable Republican, perhaps a rhino, or maybe even worse. Ed Gowring, a farmer and war hero, is running against Massey. He is a high-quality individual, and there is no like all my friends that are in the Epstein files. There is no candidate for Congress that would be better. He's running because he realizes that Thomas Massey has been totally disloyal to the President of the United States and the Republican Party. He never votes for us. He always goes with the Democrats. Thomas Massey is a complete and total disaster. We must make sure he loses big. Meanwhile, Dr. Oz wants you to work till you're dead. Have you seen that? Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz says, if we could get the average American to start working a year earlier, right out of high school, or a year later, not retire, or work better during their lifetimes because they're healthy, it would generate about $3 trillion to the U.S. economy. That would more than remove the debt. These people are insane. They want slavery back, is what they want. It's like, if only we could get little kids to work. Like it used to be. Laura says, has anybody ever told me that I look like Mr. Keaton from Family Ties? Michael Gross? No. Surprised that I know that name, don't you? Julia says it's because Trump can't comprehend that insane asylum and seeking asylum are two completely different things. Yes, exactly. He really is that dumb. Terry Moran. You remember Terry Moran? He got fired from ABC News. Right? He wrote something today. It says, Megyn Kelly, raping 14-year-old girls is not really pedophilia, so relax. Caroline Levitt, they were neighbors, so it's okay. Todd Blanche, you can party with Epstein, no problem. At this point, Mega, how much of your soul is left to sell? And the real answer is, they never fucking had a soul. To begin with. These are soulless meat bags of shit. These are not even human beings at this point. Soulless, like I said, shitbags. All. And anybody that grovels for Donald Trump is also a soulless shitbag. Like I said, you're nothing but a pathetic nutlicker to me. You're not even worthy of, like I said, respect or, well, over here, what's your point of view? I don't give a fuck what your point of view is. To tell you the truth. You're a fucking asshole. And I hate it. I've tried. How long has this been going on? 12 years? And how long have I been trying to talk to these people? You'd be like, well, you gotta talk to them. You gotta fuck these people. I'm so over them. Part of me is like I said, like they're the fucking problem. Gotta get rid of these fucking people. No, I sound like them. Yes, exactly, Laura. It's not an issue of political party. What, Costello? Get rid of the shitbags. It's a Death Clock album. Get rid of the shitbags. It's like... Meanwhile, me and Laura went to the see Send Help. It's very good. And I was hoping that Melania was showing there so I could peek into the theater and see if there's anybody there, but they weren't showing it. It wasn't at the Cinemark. Which made me wonder, where are they showing it? It's like, probably at the Esquire. Costello, soulless meatbags of shit. Yes, exactly. That's the first song on the album. Get rid of the shitbags. But here's another brilliant review of Melania. We can only conclude that Melania portrays Melania in exactly the way she wants to be seen. As rigid, formal, solitary, dourly materialistic, surrounded by lackeys drafted into the closet thing to intimacy, or drafted into the closest thing to intimacy that she seems able to access. Grinding through bot-like voiceovers filled with awkward gerunds and stilted exposition. Oh, and this is the other thing that happened that might piss you off. Remember I said I was going to go to Springfield because ICE was coming there, right? And then they're going to rush into Springfield, right, and roust out all the Haitians. And then we got a message from the people at from Springfield, and they were like, please don't come up here, because they didn't want a bunch of people going up there. Because I guess they don't want somebody to get shot in their street. But then the funniest thing happened. A Washington, D.C.-based federal judge, Ann Reyes, a Biden appointee, blocked DHS from ending the temporary protected status for more than 350,000 Haitians in the U.S., whose legal protections were set to expire tomorrow, which is why they were going to Springfield, to get rid of them right then. A move that would have left them vulnerable to deportation and the loss of work authorization. So then Stephen Miller says, an unelected judge who just ruled that elections, laws, and borders don't exist. David French says, nope, a judge who was nominated and confirmed according to the constitutional process just issued a ruling interpreting the law, holding that the administration was lawless. If you disagree with the ruling, you can appeal. That's how the law works. And then someone else, the real Thelma Johnson, said, and you weren't elected either, Goebbels. Which he was not. He's a presidential appointee, an advisor who wasn't even confirmed by the Senate. It's unbelievable. And then if you hear this, Trump says, these people are brought to our country to vote, and they vote illegally. Republicans should say we should take over the voting in at least 15 places. Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. You're going to see something in Georgia. You're going to see something in Georgia. told you. No one knows where they took them records. No one knows what they're doing. But according to the people, or the stuff that I've read and seen, they said a lot of the agents that were there were uncomfortable with the whole thing. And the whole thing's a setup. Like I said, if they really thought that the 2020... First of all, if Fulton County, Georgia was that corrupt, right? Then how did Trump win in 2016 and then again in 2020? I'm sorry, 2024. Right? He lost 2020. And he's fixated on that because he cannot admit that he was defeated and lost. I'm sure, like I said, I haven't gone around and asked a bunch of people. But I'm certain if I did go around and ask a bunch of people and they were fucking honest, they would say, if they voted for Trump, that they fucking made a mistake. His poll numbers themselves show. Anyway, here's Mike Johnson talking about your civil rights. Question. You're a constitutional lawyer. Can you detail the Fourth Amendment protections someone has if ICE approaches their home with an administrative warrant? Mike Johnson. When ICE goes to execute a warrant, it's issued by an immigration judge, and that is a sufficient legal authority to go and apprehend someone. Right? And the lawyer on Blue Sky, Mueller, she calls herself. This is wrong. I-205 administrative warrants are not issued by immigration judges. They're signed by ICE officers. I told you, they have stacks of them in their car. You can go to Kinko's and run off an administrative warrant. And even if they were issued by an immigration judge, they're executive branch employees, not judicial branch. Judicial warrants are needed to enter a home without consent. Period. See, this is what the dumb fucking nutlickers fail to understand, is that you're giving away your very freedom. The very thing that makes this country different than other shitholes in the world. You're just freely giving it away. Because you love Donald Trump. It's the most craziest fucking thing I've ever seen. We love this stupid fucking clown, jerk-off asshole, fucking prick who fucking just shits on women in public all the fucking time, who was friends with a pedophile sex trafficker for 15 years, and is in these files 3,000 fucking times, and all his friends are in the files, and he's collecting billions of dollars off of being the president. You realize that Trump's made more money since he's president. He's made his whole fucking shitty life. He's a shitty businessman because he's a terrible businessman. But now he's president, he can just shake people down for money. He said today he's going to sue Harvard for $10 billion. For what? I don't know. Do you see this? Trump is suing the IRS for $10 billion. For some reason, $10 billion is like his fixated number that he uses all the time. He sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion. He sued CBS News for $10 billion. He sued Harvard for $10 billion. And, just $10 billion. Anyway, so he's suing the government that he is the head of. Which means that, I was reading the thing, he can legally order them to settle the case for whatever number, and order them to pay him. And because the Supreme Court gave him complete immunity for anything considered an official act, no one can do anything about it. He's just robbing the government and you and me of $10 billion of taxpayer money. I said he's made more money since he's been president he's ever made in his whole shit miserable life as a fucking shitty businessman, because he never was good at it to begin with. The only reason he's still around at all is that he was born with $450 million fucking whatever you call it. What do you call that? Trust. Remember when his daddy gave him $450 million. People always say, "Oh, Trump is self-made." Everything about Trump is fake. Every single thing. Everything, every word comes out of his mouth is a bullshit lie or a deflection or an attack. And people buy into this shit. I don't understand it. I can't wrap my fucking head around it still. The way he just sits there and lies, and all these nutlickers standing behind him, holding the hats, the red hats, and say, "America's back," you know, or whatever stupid fucking slogan they put a trucker hat. It's like, why don't you just fucking hold the Klan hoods and fucking be honest about what you really are? You know what I mean? You fucking pieces of shit. We know who you are. Everyone said I was crazy all that time. I was just trying to warn people. And see, this is the other part of the internet that is frustrating. What the internet makes everybody feel like their opinion is just as valid as other people's opinion about things, right? Get all these fucking nutlickers. Anyone could turn on the microphone and go on the internet and talk shit, right? And that's fine if you have like something to back it up. Like, I've been studying history and politics my entire fucking life. I didn't go to college for it, but I mean, really, I've been studying this shit my whole fucking life. World history, read hundreds of books. You know, it's like the internet gives everyone just enough knowledge to think they know about things that they don't really fucking know about, and that's why they're susceptible to misinformation and manipulation, because they don't know. We're listening to this other jerk off tell him, and he doesn't know either. But he's telling them what to think, but he's wrong, you know. Like Dinesh D'Souza, for example, trying to sell that myth that the Nazis were really leftists, you know, even though they literally murdered all the fucking leftists. But because they had socialism in the name, it means that they were leftists. Which is a totally bullshit, fabricated fucking story to cover for real Nazis today. Which is the same fucking dude, Dinesh D'Souza, right, was like, "Oh shit, wait a minute, they're coming after me now." It's like, yeah, because they're fucking racist. That's what my friend doesn't get, who's a tool for MAGA, you know. He doesn't get that they don't give a fuck about him. He doesn't get that. Yeah, they're using him now because he's useful. Because he has 25,000 viewers on his fucking podcast or whatever, and he puts out all these fucking videos that push the Trump, you know, side of the agenda or whatever. And he's useful to them now. But they don't give a fuck about him. And as soon as they're done rounding up all the other people they don't like, they're going for him next. He's all kinds of things that they don't like. That's what he doesn't get. He thinks he's special. He ain't special. I'm sure everyone... See, that's the other part of being loyal to Trump that I don't get, because everybody knows that Trump will stab someone in the back and throw them off the side of the ship as soon as they're not useful to him. He's not loyal to anybody, but he demands absolute loyalty from everybody. But he can pick and choose. Somebody was saying that he don't fire nobody anymore, and I said, yeah, that's because he ain't got no one left. He's got all the sycophants and nutlickers around him. There ain't none left. He can't fire anybody because he ain't got nobody to replace him. Because he don't trust no one else. He can't let a mole into his fucking administration, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I mean, is like, for the next 3 years, there ain't no sane person gonna be appointed to any fucking thing. I hope you know that. You gotta be a groveling nutlicker who will do whatever Donald Trump says. That's what I'm saying, is the only way out of this, the only way, is to vote every Republican out of office. until the Republican Party starts to see that they got to break off from Trump for their own good, or else to cease to be a legitimate political party that anybody will fucking vote for. Or, option two, which we don't want to discuss, because we don't want it to come to that. That's why I said before, I'm a fan of peaceful secession before we have really have a civil war fight. You see, Vladimir Putin and these people that want to destroy America, they want us to fight. Don't you understand that? That's what the other part of this is. To drive every wedge in between everybody, drive everybody like this, and make the country fight each other. Because that's how you take down the United States if you can't do it militarily. And people fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. They fell for every bit of it. Because, like I said, if you look, even in these Epstein files, there's Russian shit. Russia has been, there's a thing that I wrote, or that was in the files. Here it is. Epstein, possibly the most prolific sex trafficker in human history, spent the last decade of his life investing in technologies that would help Russia. As he wrote in a 2013 email, leapfrog the global community by reinventing the financial system of the 21st century. He was fascinated by websites like 4chan and technology like Bitcoin. He was personally invested in the success of far-right politicians in the U.S. and Europe. He believed he was months away from ushering in a new world order that would allow him to continue his monstrous passion projects, like creating a super race of children with his own DNA and building a fascist nation states to manage overpopulation and climate collapse. And he wined and dined the world's most powerful men, none of whom seemed to have an issue with these ideas, inviting them to his island and his ranch, and made sure they were surrounded by an endless supply of young girls. And I'm just not sure what we're supposed to do with that knowledge. Same as Peter Thiel and these other guys. They already said, Peter Thiel said, the direct quote from Peter Thiel, that democracy and freedom are no longer compatible. There's always a silver lining to some of these things. There are people who aren't spineless, fucking pathetic pieces of shit. This person says, or this is from, I don't know what this is from, it's from some kind of article that says, the idea that anyone did not know about Epstein's conviction as a sex abuser is absurd. Some people spurned his social approaches. Having been invited in 2010 to an Epstein dinner with Woody Allen and then Prince Andrew in New York, the magazine editor, Tina Brown, replied, "What the fuck is this, the pedophile's ball?" Brown's reaction should have been everyone's. So should that of Melinda Gates, the now ex-wife of Bill Gates, who stepped into Epstein's home once and immediately regretted it. Right? Musk is in the files. You know, the French invaded Musk today. Invaded the X offices. And see, this is another thing. You haven't thought about this, right? We live in a world where a man like Elon Musk, right, who we all know is a piece of shit, right? But one of the biggest social media platforms on earth, Twitter, right, turned it into X, turned it into a fucking Nazi shithole, right? And yet, all these big companies, all these big entertainers, all these fucking, I listen to sports talk radio, they're always like, follow us on X, you know. These people stayed on this platform, even though they know all this horrible shit is going on there. Why? Because it's big and they need it for business. You know, and they're like, this is what's wrong with the fucking world. There's no consequences for anything that anyone does anymore. None. And the culture world is so bad, if people try to make a consequence, the other half of the people jump up, well, we'll save you. If the left boycotts something, or the right perceives that the left is boycotting something, immediately they'll go support it. Which means there's no consequences for anything that anyone does. Which creates a world with no fucking rules, no law, and order. It's a free-for-all. It's a fucking dog, you know, yes. Twitter was so good before that. Yeah. Now it's a fucking Nazi shithole. It got so bad I just deleted my account. And I had been on there 10 years, probably. And I used it, like I became friends with Richard Lewis. Not friends, but we chatted frequently on Twitter Messenger. I lost all that stuff when I deleted my Twitter. And that's another reason I didn't want to delete it. I met Leah Remini, same thing. But I used to just go in there and troll. And I said something she didn't like it. She actually responded, and then we started talking, and then we worked it out. She turned out to be all right. But those things wouldn't have happened without that, you know. And still, I was like, I can't participate in this. It's so bad. It's so bad. You just go on Twitter, it's a shithole. Anyway, ex-Paris offices raided by French cybercrime unit over complicity in the dissemination of child sexual abuse materials and other crimes. You know that he had Grok fucking making nude pictures of children. Yes, disgusting. Here's Mike Johnson on Meet the Press on Sunday. Welker. President Trump's name appears throughout the Epstein files. Do you have any outstanding questions about the relationship between President Trump and Epstein? Johnson, I do not. Of course you don't. You're a spineless, pathetic, nut-licking piece of shit. You're the worst. He's the worst House Speaker I've ever seen. Ever. I'm not saying something. He's worse than Tip O'Neill, who was an actual pedophile. I'm sorry, not him. Dennis Hastert. I apologize to Tip O'Neill. Even though he's dead, but still. It was Dennis Hastert who was the fucking pedophile. Went to prison for it. Here's that thing about the him suing them. It's simultaneously disturbing and not at all surprising that the President of the United States can, in his private capacity, sue the federal government, which he is also the head of, and then direct how that lawsuit is pursued. That essentially guarantees the Treasury gets drained for $10 billion in taxpayer money going directly to Trump. And since the Supreme Court, in its infinite wisdom, decided that when a president makes a decision in his official capacity, that he has immunity, you can see how nefarious this really is. The president can sue the government, then tell the government to settle the case for the amount in the lawsuit. And even if that behavior is clearly nefarious, criminal, or fraudulent, he is immune. Our system of government was broken by the Supreme Court again. First time with Citizens United. Exactly. It's unbelievable. And then, did you hear this? A DOJ attorney named Julie Lay said in court, the system sucks. This job sucks. To Judge Jerry Blackwell, who pressed her on why so many court orders are being ignored by ICE and the Trump administration. She asked to be held in contempt just so she could get 24 hours of sleep. That's how bad. Imagine you work for the Justice Department, or you work inside the government, and you were there to like do good, and then now you're in the middle of this shit. And said she's like, please help me in contempt, so put me in jail so I can get some sleep. Yeah, it's like TikTok. You're talking about Christella. Julia says she has a sizable account on Twitter with several celebs who follow me and chat with me too. Got rid of mine shortly after Trump was president the first time. I held on all the way to, you know. My point is, everyone should have left Twitter. You want, like I said, you want to hurt Elon Musk when he bought Twitter, everyone just leave. And that happened they lost several million users or whatever, but because everybody else stayed on there, people went back, and now it's normal. Wendy's and you know, all these corporations, Home Depot, they all got X accounts right next to the fucking the Nazi accounts. Literal Nazis. Just look at Elon Musk's personal feed. It's all kinds of Nazi shit in there. Who would have thought a guy from apartheid South Africa would be a fucking Nazi? But the fact that we live in the world, the same thing. All these guys, like, who have in the Epstein files, they obviously had relationships with Epstein even after he was convicted of being a sex trafficker. Elon begging to go to that pedophile island because he needs a wild time, you know. Like, we all know what the fuck he wants. You're kidding me. And these people are just allowed to walk around like nothing happened. These people are still going to be in the Trump administration. Trump's still going to be the president. It's unbelievable. If this was a real world, with real justice and real humanity, these people would be ran out of town. Trump would be impeached and removed. Not that I want that, because I've said here before, I think J.D. Vance more dangerous than Donald Trump. I think that all these people need to go. Anyone who is involved in this whole administration and ignoring court orders and all this other shit, they need to be impeached and removed from office. All. I don't know what to do after that. I mean, there's a secession. But you got to get rid of all the people. All the Kristi Noems, all the Tom Homans, all the Stephen Millers, the J.D. Vance, the Trump. They're a cancer on this country. And they don't believe in the Constitution. They swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, which they shit on daily. Like I said, they're backing up, I think, a little, because they see how far they pushed this situation. And like I said before, if you push it too far, eventually a fire is going to break out. And they don't want that as much as what they said. You know, nobody wants that. That's why I said, I think we should think about peaceful secession. We're not going to. You know, Fox News had this other fantasy on yesterday where everybody's leaving the Californians and all, and moving to red states so they can have their fucking, like, come on, really? They really believe that? See, you could call me a leftist, whatever you want to call me, right? But my real philosophy is, the government basically only has two jobs. Protect the country from threats, right? Secure your freedom. And to fucking help people. And that's the only thing it should be here for. To help maintain the infrastructure of the country. To help people have health care. To help people get a quality education. To help people. And that's it. Anything else the government is doing is bullshit. And usually just wasting money and getting us into trouble. Starting wars and shit. Or like Trump's just straight robbing people. He said today, there's 50 million barrels of oil on their way to Houston right now from Venezuela. Oh, so you're just robbing them, you know. He's telling that woman, you know, you can stay in power if you just send us some of the oil. Literally. It's unbelievable what we've let ourselves become. I still can't wrap my head around it. John says, I believe the actual amendment can remove the entire administration. Yeah, maybe. These people need to go to the Hague for crimes against humanity. They've murdered people. They murdered over 100 people off the coast of in the Caribbean Ocean and in the Pacific, off the coast of Mexico and Venezuela. Right? Not to mention all the people that have been murdered in the streets by ICE agents. They committed. Not to mention all the people that they've kidnapped off the streets. They're going around right now buying up all these warehouses to build detention camps. You know, all that stuff that Alex Jones said that Obama was going to do, right? Is what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. It's unbelievable. There's one more thing, and then I'm going to get out of here. But this is the guy says that. They told us Democrats would turn America into a show-us-your-paper society. They told us that Democrats would strip away the Second Amendment. They told us that Democrats would jail us for what we say. They told us that Democrats would drag us into more foreign wars. They told us that Democrats would cover up a child sex trafficking ring. And then Republicans took power and decided to do all that themselves. Exactly, John. That's why they're sending it to Houston, because there's refineries there. He's going to refine that oil and then sell it for a profit. It's a fucking racket. It's a multinational protection racket. It's like the mob would do. They say, oh, well, you can keep your little country and we'll protect you from threats if you just pay us, 50 million barrels of oil every month, And again, by the time you get that oil and ship it up here and refine it and all that, you're going to make money off of it? Who knows? Probably not, because Trump was a fucking terrible businessman. He always has been. He sucks. Remember when he tried to buy into the USFL and he sued the NFL? And he won a judgment for $3.27 or some shit like that. And then he promptly crashed the USFL. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. I figured that's why they were taking it to Texas, so they could refine it. And then Trump would sell it as a... That's what I mean. He thinks there's all that oil there. It's like, it's not that good of oil. There's a reason why they're sitting on all that oil and no one's ever gone after it. It's like a last resort oil. It's like when the good clean oil from Saudi Arabia starts running dry, they won't think about, we never think about anything until we actually need it. It's like, oh, that's on hold. We just keep using this up till it's gone, and then anyway, I gotta get out of here. Again, if you just stumbled upon this show, listen, I'm on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, United States. If you want to send me a message, it's Bruce Leonard Leans Left at Outlook.com. I'd like to thank my viewers in England. I said it's up to 8% now. Soon it'll be 10%, and hopefully it'll keep growing. Right, John? It's like pure maple syrup from Canada or, Mrs. Butterworth. It's like totally two different things. It's like, I don't believe Mrs. Butterworth even has any real maple syrup in it. It's just corn syrup and maple flavor. Anyway, again, like I said, if you just stumbled upon here, I'd like to thank my viewers in England. My audience there is growing, and thank you. Please tell your friends about this show. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that shit. I said I'm here Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, United States. And again, go out tonight, try to enjoy yourself. If it's cold, snowing where you're at, watch a movie. If you haven't seen Sinners, watch that, it's really good. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back Thursday, 6 p.m. Thank you, good night.